Welcome to episode 56 of the Face of the Future podcast. It's your boy Mills.
It's your boy Shan.
It's your boy Manson Moose. What's good? What's good? What's good?
Good with y'all, man. A lot of stuff transpired this past weekend. You know what I'm saying? My boy's dead on the up and up.
Yes,
you know what I'm
sir.
He crossing over. He crossing over
Yes,
to the great
sir.
side. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Let the listeners know what went down this past weekend, man.
Yeah, I got engaged this past weekend to my girlfriend.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
You got to clap it up.
Yes, sir.
Clap it up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What a moment. What a moment it was.
I bet.
Crazy.
How'd you feel?
I was nervous as hell going into it, only because I just wanted it to be everything she wanted it to be. You know what I'm saying? I wanted it to be special for her. So that's where all the stress and anxiety from the situation came about. It was funny because I had all planned out, like what I was going to say, what I was going to do. And when it got to the moment, I kind of just froze up. You know what I mean? I couldn't even get my words out. I was getting choked up. You know what I mean? I couldn't get my words out. When I went to put the ring on her finger, I was like shaking, all crazy. I couldn't even get it on there. So what a moment. It was great.
Give me the little play-by-play, like leading up to it. Cause I know, like, tell me how like the day went going, like from the start to like up to the point. Like you don't have to get like super detailed, but like I want to know what was going through like your head, like when you was going leading up to it. I know like the beginning of the day it was probably chilled, and as it got closer to the time, it probably like, all right.
Yeah. So her birthday was this past Thursday. We took her out for this weekend, the entire family. She didn't know what we was going to do, so we had a couple surprises for her planned out. So we woke up, normal day, had breakfast, went took a ride to the ferry, to the Staten Island ferry, rode into New York. I did it at this place called Edge, New York, which is like an overview of all of Manhattan. You can see Jersey.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was amazing, breathtaking view. And as we got closer and closer to getting to the place, I started getting quieter and quieter because I started getting nervous. And she kept asking me, she was like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Nothing." I was just, I think everything was kind of just hitting me at that point. You know what I'm saying? It was just, It was like, here it is. It's the moment. You know what I mean? So, we went out on the platform with her family, took some pictures with the family, and then it was me and her. Her brother was taking a video, and I actually FaceTimed my mom so that she could see it too because she couldn't be there. Yeah. So she wanted to see it too. So I gave the phone to one of her brothers while he was on FaceTime with my mom, and my dad was there watching. My mom was recording on her phone. Yeah. And then I got down on one knee and I asked, you know what I mean? And it was crazy.
That was lit.
Sir.
Yeah, man. Everybody that was on the platform, like 300 people, they all started clapping and stuff. So it was a special moment.
No, that's lit. I bet she felt special for that. I know she
Yeah.
She was all smiles. I seen it.
Yeah.
Big grin. I was looking on IG. Yeah. Big grin, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was a great moment.
The view was crazy though. Like when you sent us the video, that joint was crazy. Like had the whole city behind you.
Bro. Yeah, the backdrop of the pictures are incredible. And that view is so high up, you can see everything.
Nah, definitely. Did she have like any like inkling or idea like of what was going on like prior? Did like she say she had an idea or not really?
No, somebody almost ruined it.
Oh, really?
Mistakenly, an older person. So I mean, I'm not really going to hold that against them because they're a little bit older. Yeah. But other than that, we held it together. The family held it together.
I know her brother was hype. I could see that made me saying the whole familyness. I see her mom was crying too. Like also.
Yeah. I mean, I got the ring about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So like we've been holding this secret for a minute now. It's glad to know that she knows now. You know what I
mean? Where'd you stash the ring at? Because I know you had to hide that joint somewhere.
Her mom's house.
Okay.
Her mom's house. I didn't want it to be here. God forbid. God
forbid. Around like, what is this? Like,
you know what I mean? God forbid. You know what I mean? So her mom held on to it. I actually went and picked up the ring with her mom and her sister. So that was also special. And her two brothers, her mom and her sister were there. So
that's dope.
It was a great moment.
And my last question, so what type of wedding y'all planning on having? I know it's about to be all festivities.
I mean, yeah, we'll see, but probably most definitely, you know how we are, a beach wedding. So that's probably going to be the vibes. That's probably going to be the vibes. Yeah, for sure.
Great vibe. Nah, like I said, I'm happy for you, bro. That's big time. Cause I know you've been plotting on it for a minute now.
And I have. I mean, you talk about it for a while now.
Yeah, it's a big step, bro. It's a big step. How's your parents feel? I know, you know what I'm saying? I know they were probably ecstatic.
Thrilled. They were thrilled. My mom was upset. only upset because she couldn't be there. You know, with her having lupus and all that stuff. So her not really being able to be out like that. She was very upset that she couldn't be there. She told me she felt left out, kind of broke my heart a little bit. Yeah. You know, so that was sad, but at least she was able to be there and see it happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? But my parents are thrilled, very excited.
No, they was cheesing. I seen the videos. She had like the camera. She was like, yeah. The pops was in the background, like, that's
right. Right.
Nah, but it's good. I mean, all good news, you know what I'm saying? Me and the guys, we was happy, we was cheesing. Dex said he shed his tears. That joint was Now it's crazy because like times like he's going, it's like niggas growing up, bro. You're growing up. So it's like it's a dope.
And it's crazy, like yesterday, just you feel like all the love from people that you don't even talk to, you know what I'm saying? Just showing you love and wishing you congratulations and telling you that they're happy for you, you know? Mm-hmm. It was an amazing day. Like Coach Pasante hit me up last night.
Oh, Pasante hit you up?
Pasante, I haven't talked to Coach Pasante in years. You know what I'm saying? Me and him texted all night. You know what I mean? So it just is great to see that people get joy from seeing other people being loved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was just a great day. Great day.
Now, love is definitely a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's like genuine, and it's even closer to home because, like I said, we've been friends for a long time. So it's like, milestones is amazing.
Right.
It's definitely amazing. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the festivities.
Me too.
But I always say
That's what everybody been saying. Everybody's like, "When it gonna be lit?"
That joke gonna be lit, especially if it's at the beach.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a great time. But man, Tobe, you back from your little trip and all that stuff. How was that?
I don't want to be here. It's cold. It's cold as hell. It's cold as hell out here, man.
I already know. I know it was a wake up call when you got back. You know what I'm saying? Because you was like I said last episode, you was living life. The birds was chirping. People was hitting me up, yo.
Yeah.
They was like, I'm jealous. Where is he at? They was like,
people was like, where's all them birds in the back? I said, Toby in St. Martin.
No, that thing is crazy. Like it's really weird when you go to different places and it's like, you know, you can have views in like California, LA, but when you go to a place that's just naturally beautiful, like just pure beauty, it's ridiculous. Like I'm just upset I had to come back. Like I had to wear a hoodie. I had to come back, wear a hoodie, wear some long pants. Like I'm annoyed, man. Like, but it's all good now. I'll probably be back there soon. Probably like May, June, sometime.
Because obviously, like when you're in the sun, it's just a whole different feel. You relaxing, you're working from wherever you're working. You probably had the view, the balcony, whatever you were at, and it's just like,
it's nuts.
The aqua blue water. You know what I mean?
When y'all are working like in a setting like that, does it make you like more energized, like get stuff done, as opposed to like just working in your crib?
It's weird because it's like when you work in a different environment, period, it makes you look at things with a set of fresh eyes. Like for me, I work with numbers all day. So it's like me just sitting here looking at stuff, it gets tired if I'm in the same environment. So it's like if I go out, not even just say to St. Martin, let's say if I go to like Colorado, I have a different environment. Like it just puts me in a different mode. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not something that's routine to you. So it's like, I feel like I actually was more productive when I'm consistently in a different environment. You know, so I think it makes me work a little bit different. I wouldn't say it was a big distraction because it was just water. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it was beautiful.
That's what I meant. Yeah, like it has a more positive impact on like the work, your work and stuff like that. I feel that too. Like I feel as though like even when you change your scenery or you're in a space that's like new or fresh, it gives you like a different sense of like, oh, I want to get this done, or it enhances your creativity, I guess you say.
Like, no, it does. And I think that's probably why, like, when you look at like different artists or just even different people who are in different spaces, like people always place emphasis on, like, you know, say for example, an artist, they place emphasis on, I record this in LA, or I was recording in Florida, or I was in Switzerland recording, or Wisconsin, or something like that. Like having different environments affect, you know, your productivity and affects your creativity in different ways because it gives you a new perspective on things. So it definitely does enhance you in a positive way, for real.
And off of that, I want to ask both of y'all, because I know we touched on it, like when the COVID like had just began and people working from home. Do you think that since more people are working from home and being, I guess you could say, even more productive, because that's what I've heard, like the same sentiments that you just said, Toby, like I'm more productive when I'm at the crib. I can change my scenery. I don't have to go into the office all the time. Do you think that's going to be like more of a mainstay, like in across all industries when it comes to with working environment, maybe not every day, but have more like flexibility, like hybrid options as opposed to being in the office 5 days a week?
I do think so. I think especially with companies seeing how much money they could save just in their like building rent, you know what I mean? Not having people that have to come in every single day. You know what I mean? And I think this has proved that a lot of things can be done virtually. A lot of things can be done through email. A lot of things can be done through a quick video or a quick talk or a quick phone call. So I think that this will be the new normal going forward. I've already seen, and I'm sure you guys have too, a lot of places say they're not going back. They're going to continue to be virtual, or a lot of places just keep on extending their deadline of when they're going to be back in an office setting till like December. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to be the new norm going forward.
Yeah, same. Like my office is already talking about, yeah, we've already pushed back your return date till after Labor Day. Like it kind of seemed like they kind of pushing things slowly. Because at first I was supposed to come back top of the year. Then they said then they said June. Then they pushed it back to Labor Day. And so like thinking about it now, because like depending on certain corporations, like some corporations have salary workers, some people have hourly workers as well. So it's like from what I was talking to one of my coworkers about, like some corporations may not even bring people back for that year because it won't be fair to everybody. Because some people who get paid hourly, they only get paid like a certain amount of vacation time versus PTO, and it looks different because salary-based people, all you get paid for, you have everything built in already. You know what I'm saying? So it's like looking at all those different factors. Some people be like, yo, just stay home until the end of the year. We'll figure shit out when things get better. So I mean, I think it's gonna be the new normal. I think it's already started. It's just a matter of like figuring out financial options, like you said, Shannon, like figuring out rent situations, figuring out electric situations, because you're gonna have to rewrite all those contracts and stuff like that. So we'll see what'll happen.
Another thing I think is like, are people going to be concerned about like people getting vaccines or not? Like, are people going to not want to work in an office if everybody doesn't have the vaccine? You know what I mean? So like, how is that going to work? Are companies now going to like not require you, but kind of push you to kind of get the vaccine so that everybody can feel a little bit safer in the work environment? I mean, I think there's a lot of things that are going to go into it.
When it comes to that, I mean, can private corporations, they can implement whatever they want, can't they? Since they're quote unquote a private entity, like if they say,
tell our employees, you have to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to get it. Or I mean, but I think that'll be a lot harder than people think, because I mean, just based on like the way it's being rolled out right now, like everybody might not have access to it at the moment in time. So
right.
But maybe like down the road, maybe like a year from now, or like next year, they say, yeah, a year from now, they could implement something like that. But I don't necessarily see it being implemented in the work environment.
It's not even just that. It's like a lot of people don't really believe in the vaccine either. It's like just from a religious standpoint, a lot of people are against vaccines just because of their religion of like how vaccines are made. So they're not really going to be open to doing that in the first place. So like, what do you do just in a hypothetical situation when you have like a majority of your employees are like super religious and say, I don't want to do this for religious reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when I worked in HR, they sometimes companies had exceptions like for people like when it came to religious things, depending on what it was. I know because when I was working in the hospital, or whatever, like it was the flu shot at the time. Like not everybody like believed in like the flu shot because of religion, and so that was like if they got like some type of clearance or whatever, it was okay. But they had to like pass up the HR, like had pass up the chain to make sure it was all right, whatever it may be, depending on the job and where the person was going to be majority of the time. Like if they were like someone that's just going to be on the corporate side, they necessarily didn't have to get it. But if they're in the hospital, it'd be like, all right, if you want this job, you have to get it. And some people that even were religious, they just conformed to it and was like, all right, because I need the job, whatever it may be. But other people were like, nah, it's not something that's a necessity. I believe in this more than whatever it may be. You feel me? So, I mean, yeah, it is kind of a tricky situation because there is a lot of people that don't believe in like the
any vaccine.
Yeah, the vaccines and things of that nature. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. And my last thing on that on this topic was I saw that Spain, they're trying to implement 32-hour work weeks over there. I think it's Spain. Yeah, I seen it, and because they had just legalized weed, and then they talked about we're trying to implement 32-hour work weeks for people across the country, whatever it may be. Do you think that 32-hour work weeks will get more productivity out of people as opposed to 40, or you think it just depends?
It's going to get more production out of people. Like, it doesn't make sense that you have to work 40 hours a week. You have to schedule your whole life around corporations or companies that essentially will replace you if they feel like it, for one reason or another. So it's like giving people an extra day of rest, giving people an extra day to like schedule things that they need to schedule, dentist appointments, doctor's appointments, family time, things of that nature is definitely going to be helpful, because it's like, if you're somebody, say, for example, you're an executive, hypothetically, you work 32 hours. You don't even work 32 hours, actually. You work over 40 hours a week if you're an exec. You probably work like a minimum of 50 to 60 hours minimum, So it's like, imagine now you cut that day out, you cut one day out and you get like an extra day of rest, for example. You know what I'm saying? It's like that helps your productivity. People have always been more productive when they have more rest. People have been more friendly when they get more rest. Their health increases. So it's like, I think it's an amazing idea. I wish the US would incorporate it, but we all know that the US, they don't really give a shit about people. So it's like, I don't really see that really happening. But it's like, for the most part, if they were for a country like Spain, I think it'll help a lot, So
I mean, that sounds great. You know what I mean? I think as far as productivity goes, you're going to have to be more productive because you're losing a day of work. So things are going to have to ramp up for everybody because you lose a whole 8 hours of work. But I do think, to piggyback off what Toby said, it'll be great for morale. I think morale as a company, for any company, and people will be able to handle things more with that extra day. You could do a lot in those 24 hours. You know what I mean? It's hard to work 5 days a week and then compress everything into those 2 days on the weekend because you want to sleep. You don't really want to do nothing, but those are really the only days you have to handle your business. You know what I mean? So I think that extra day will definitely help.
And I think so my friend, he works at Google. He says Google has something that's similar to that. It's not necessarily a 32-hour work week, but it's like something where they work for an extended period of time, or maybe a couple weeks, like straight, whatever it may be, and then they give them off like a week or two, and then I don't know if it's something that's implemented during the pandemic, whatever, but he said like people, they saw like when they started implementing that process, like the productivity of all the employees like skyrocketed. It was crazy because they like said, because people know, all right, this is the time frame that I have to work, and then I know I'm gonna get this extended period of time off to relax, so I'm gonna go harder for this time because I know when it's done, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I feel as though like when did that like how did 40-hour work weeks even become the norm in society?
It started in the early, like, I forget which president implemented it, but one of the presidents in the early 1900s implemented the 40-hour work week.
Yeah, Americans. It sounds like a very, very very, very biased economic theory, like the concept of production. And so when you add a certain amount of workers, for people who don't know, like when you add a certain amount of workers, you get a certain amount of output. And obviously, depending on the amount of time, the amount of things that you do, the amount of output that they have is either going to plateau or it's going to increase. So it's like, it sounds to me like people wanted to do that to maximize productivity. It really just sounds like they plugged in a bunch of numbers and they thought 40 hours would work best. And that's not to include like, the mental health of people, not to include whether or not people are satisfied, things of that nature. So it really just sounds like they just said, yeah, 5 days a week sounds cool, but it's like, now when we look at what people really value, where people value work-life balance, people value actually going on vacations, people value their family, things of that nature, it's becoming very much more difficult to just say 40-hour work weeks minimum are essential to companies, especially when we see right now that people are home, with their families doing all those different things. So I don't really think that, I would hope that in the future, a country like the US would change that. I don't really see it happening anytime soon, but I would like to hope that it would change because I think that'll be beneficial for everybody all around.
But here's my question, right? If we go to 32 hours, are people's pay going to increase? Because some people need that 40 hours. They need those extra 8 hours. You know what I mean?
I think it should be.
Is it going to?
My bad. Keep going. I was going to.
No, I was going to say, it's like, is the pay going to increase? Because that would be something that I think would also have to happen.
I think they could keep their same salary and just implement the 32 hours. I don't see a problem with that because they obviously probably getting more done. Because think about it, when you're working 40-hour workers, think about all the time where you're just chilling, not really doing much though.
Like, I'm saying, what if you work hourly though?
That's what I was about to say. If you work hourly, it's gonna look weird. Like me,
you losing 8 hours. You losing a whole day.
But I'm saying they can up their cost per hour. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'll get what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. That's gonna have to happen.
Yeah. That's what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah. Hey, it sounds great. I'm all for the 32-hour work week. That would be love.
Exactly.
That would be love.
Moses 3 days out, 3 days for the weekend. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get burnt out at work because even like, how often do you just work 40 hours a week? I mean, how often do we go home and continue to work because we have to? You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think a lot of people in a lot of fields get burned out.
They definitely get burned out without a doubt.
Burned out.
So the NCAA is under fire again. What else? You know what I'm saying? This has been an ongoing thing in general with NCAA, people not being happy with it. But this comes during a prominent time in NCAA sports, which is March Madness on the men's and women's side. And the trouble and the backlash that they're getting for their tournaments is that the men's tournament is getting way better treatment than the women's tournament. And some of the players from the women's tournament spoke out against it. I think a girl from Oregon, the University of Oregon, made a whole TikTok showing the different weight rooms that the men and women have. They showed the men's weight room was a normal weight room facility, and then when the girls, when they want to train, it's literally a stack of dumbbells. And then they went even further into showing the disparity in the food, the quality of food that they got. The men were getting buffets, full buffets of quality food, and the food that the women got looked like jailhouse food, to be honest with you. That stuff looked disgusting.
Box lunches.
Something I wouldn't even want my players to consume during tournament time. Like during tournament time, you want your players in the best shape they can be in, eating the most quality food so they can perform at the highest level because you're on a championship run. And then the last thing was their gift bags that they got. The men had all these different sponsors and different things, and the women they got like water bottles, hats, and towels. And it was just everybody put the side by side up. And it was so crazy that one, like professional athletes from both the men's and women's side spoke out. Kyrie Irving spoke out against it. I saw some other players speak out against it as well. And then who's the coach from South Carolina? I think it's Dawn Staley.
Dawn Staley.
She spoke out against it, and she's one of the top coaches in women's basketball and in basketball in general. Mm-hmm. And she spoke out against it. So I want y'all to react and tell me what y'all think about what's going on and how y'all feel.
First, before I even say anything, I have questions.
Okay.
I may sound stupid asking these questions.
Okay.
But this will definitely change how I react to these things.
Okay.
Is the NCAA funding this? I know that sounds like a stupid question, but is the NCAA so for the weight room, the food, everything like that, is that the NCAA as an entity funding all of that?
I believe so. I believe, from my knowledge, that the NCAA, this is just their tournament. They're the ones that fund the tournament, the things that go on, what goes on.
In Indy for the most part, where
the NCAA everything that's going to Indy is ran by the NCAA. So to go to your funny thing, I feel as though like when it comes to like the bags and stuff, that's all sponsored, donated. Like, so each tournament, each tournament is different. So obviously each tournament has different sponsors. You feel me? Like with any other thing we do, like if we had two different events under one entity, like this event will have this sponsors, this event will have this. I think that's how the rider goes when it comes to the tournament in terms of like that aspect of things. But when it comes to the weight room and all that stuff, because just a day later, the NCAA sent all this weight room equipment and built a brand new weight room for the women and things. So obviously it must be the ones that are funding that. So
okay. All right, cool. All right. If that's the case, then the NCAA is big bugging.
Yeah, and big. Don't quote me on that because that's just my knowledge of what I've just read and like what I was looking up to. But
if they're the ones that are funding, if they're the ones that are supplying the weight room, supplying all the food, stuff like that, you're trash for that. Like it's different when you're talking about individual schools, right? Because that depends on obviously funding, state funding, things of that nature, right? But it's trash where it's like even taking out who watches March Madness or not, for example, like you already put all these students at a disadvantage because you don't pay them, right? You don't pay them the way that they should be paid. Already, they can't even make money off their own name because they're in the NCAA. You know what I mean? Like you have all these rules set up against them. And for the NCAA to treat a group of women like that, especially when we know that they work hard, especially because, they put in the work, to even have the basic level of respect that they have. I think it's trash for the NCAA to just be like, yeah, we're just going to give you a rack of weights as if like, you staying at your mom's crib or something like that. Like that's trash, like, and I'm glad that
it
they
wasn't even a rack. It was 5 pound. It was like 5 pound dumbbells, like 25 pound dumbbells. That's it.
That's trash. Like that's vacation. That's a weight room. That's a weight room in a vacation spot. Like that's disgusting. Like it's disgusting to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they're trash for that. I don't have any other words for that one. Yeah, they're trash.
Yeah, it's definitely sad, and I think it just adds on to that stigma of female athletes not getting the respect that they deserve because they work just as hard. They're in the same spot that the men are as far as teams that make the tournament, especially for a program like Oregon, when you just had Sabrina Ionescu, who was the best player in women's college basketball last year, #1 overall pick in the WNBA draft. And like that's how you're treating your team. I mean, the Oregon team, the men's team doesn't exactly do numbers. A lot of these men teams don't exactly do numbers. So I think, especially when you have a program like the women's teams that are doing just as good or better than them, they should have the same amenities that the men's teams have. And I just think it goes back to that thing of them not getting the respect that they deserve across all women's sports platforms, even in all other sports, in the WNBA and the women's soccer, the whole nine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say next, because it's like, well, I remember when I first got to Rutgers, like everybody used to talk so much about the girls' soccer team, right? And I guess it's going to be like, I was kind of irritated because I'm like, okay, like the girls' soccer team is really good, but it's like you would know when they're playing, but nobody's in the stands. Granted, I understand because it's soccer. Soccer's not as big as basketball, football, all that, right? But it's like the Rutgers men's basketball team was trash, and they still got hella stuff, including the practice team. You know what I'm saying? It's like how they got treated at the time, just because they were the basketball team. At the time, even before Coach Shan came back, the way that the football team got treated was different. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the boys and girls soccer team were nice that year. Like you looking at them like, yo, they should be getting the respect the football and basketball players were getting, but they not. And so I'm like, this is weird. Obviously, it's my first time going to university, but this goes to my next question, because it's like, I feel like there's this common theme that I've personally noticed around just men and women's sports. Is like, why is it that you guys feel that both men and women's sports are looked at completely different? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's look at the U.S. women's soccer team. They're much better than the U.S. men's soccer team. But people go out of their way to watch the U.S. men's soccer team, even though they're not as good as the U.S. women's soccer team. So why do you feel that you guys think that is? Because I've been trying to figure that out, and I haven't come to a logical solution at all.
I think a lot of it has to do somewhat with women's sports coming a little bit after men's sports came. Women didn't always have the ability and platforms like the men have had. You know what I mean? Even at universities, and especially at the professional level, the WNBA was created in 99, 98 or 99 or 1996. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. And I think it's just one of those things, people like to watch other men, especially in like football and stuff, try to rip each other's heads off. You know what I'm saying? I think that has a lot to do with it as well. But nevertheless, it's still sad. You know what I mean? I just, to put an exact answer on that, I don't really know. I just think a lot of it has to do with, like I said, them not having the platform like men have always had from the very beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm gonna follow your point about the gladiator aspect of if you just think about like go back to the Roman times, like it was men in the arena like fighting, and that's what people came to see. But to even move forward into time now, I don't see why they're looked at as different than the men's sports. So, like, I don't understand it, especially when you have teams like if you have the women's soccer team who has a substantially bigger following than the men's team, in my opinion, when it comes to soccer in the United States. Or even just look at UConn women's basketball, their following is a lot bigger than the men's team at their university. So when it comes to that aspect, I feel as though they should be judged the same based on the entertainment aspect, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's entertainment for the people. And when it comes to that, there's teams like Shannon said, Oregon, who perform way better. They put more fans in the seat than their men's basketball team. So they should be treated as such. I think it should be based on the performance level. But in that same aspect, when you're comparing them that to if we put them in those same lights like that, then I think it should be all around. We can't pick and choose which is which is not. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when it comes to the women's tournament, and I'm gonna keep saying this all the time, like, because I've had this conversation a few times. about the women's tournament is like, bro, I think the women's tournament is exciting. That's just me. Maybe because I'm just a sports fan or whatever it may be. But people try to like downplay women's basketball, bro. But like I feel as though the only people that really downplay the game are people that really didn't play the game. You feel me? Or people aren't fans of the game. You know what I'm saying? And you'll see that all the time. Like even like if we're talking about LeBron and them and Kyrie and them, they enjoy watching women's basketball as well because they're fans of the game of basketball. And at the end of the day, if you're a true fan of the game of basketball, you're gonna enjoy both parties, in my opinion. And I feel as though that aspect in providing the same resources, because that's all they're really asking for is the same resources to be able to put on this same quality of show. Because that's like we're coming onto the podcast, right? And it's us three, but I'm the one giving out the resources, and I give Toby the highest quality mic, and I give Shannon some muffled old rusty mic, and I expect you to perform and people to enjoy listening to Shannon the same way they listen to Toby on the podcast. But it's not going to be the case because I obviously gave Toby better equipment. You know what I'm saying? He's going to sound more clear. His whatever he says is going to come through better, as opposed to me giving Shannon a staticky mic. And people are like, all right, I'm cutting. So every time he talks, I'm fast forwarding to someone else. It's the same thing. That's how I looked at it when I sat down and really thought about it. So I think the judgment should come after both sides are provided the same resources. Then you can disparity. All right, the women got this, the men got this. They're equal when it comes to the resources. All right, now you can say, all right, do you rather watch this, watch that? I think that's when the judgment should come about the
also. And no, I was going to say, to go to your point real quick, Mills, about like being a true fan of the game and women's sports being more enjoyable. I would want to argue that too, and for me personally, I do want to get more into women's sports because I look at it like this, right? When you look at like men's sports, in most cases, men can go into that and they could really just ride out and be mediocre about things and they can still get paid a good amount of money. Like league minimum for the NBA, you're still getting paid more than probably virtually almost all the WNBA players, right? Most people can work normal jobs. You can work an IT job, work a lawyer job, be a doctor, and still get paid just as much or get paid a little bit more than most of the WNBA players. You know what I'm saying? So obviously you could tell they really not even playing this because of money. You know what I'm saying? Most of these people can go work somewhere else and do that. So my thing is that looking at that now, it's like, wouldn't you want to watch people that go into playing sports, not because they're chasing money, but because they're genuinely playing it for the love of the sport? You know what I mean? It's like you could say, look at somebody random. Let's say Zaza Pachulia, right? Hypothetically speaking, he's not a good player. You know what I'm saying? But he was needed, but he was there and he was getting paid little bread. But because he had a very minimum role, obviously he was there for the bread. He made hella money. And you can kind of tell like when people's passions are in the game and when it's not in the game anymore. Most of the women that play in the WNBA, not even just in the WNBA, in women's sports, they play because the passion is there. And that's one of the things, hypothetically speaking, I love about women is that when women's passions are in things, you can tell that the passion is there and that they do it genuinely for the love of it. You know what I mean? Sometimes with men, the money and the passion can come together and it can make you do well. But when you watch somebody just do something strictly just for passion and nothing else, that's when you see true competition. You see true artistry. You see true everything. And that's what I personally would definitely agree with you about, Mills.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like, just how we always talk about, these kids coming up are getting better and better because they have more things available to them. The women's sports are becoming better and better and better. And I think that there's a lot of women athletes that we all seen with our own eyes that make your eye like, whoa, like I'll go like a Chelsea Lay or like a Kelsey Dominic, who was Gatorade Player of the Year in our high school. You like, whoa, like that's some real talent right there. You know what I'm saying? So I think that they work just as hard. And like I said, the talent is there. You see girls like Sabrina Ioseku, Brianna Stewart, you know what I'm saying? Girls like that who's the girl that runs track at Kentucky, that ran track at Kentucky from Jersey? Sydney, another one. You know what I'm saying? These girls are incredible athletes. So I think that they definitely need to be put on the same pedestal as the men do. Because like you said, LeBron and all these guys, they're huge fans of the game, of the WNBA game. Huge fans. And across all sports.
I think you see that too, like, because we were all in college, and Shannon, you were a college athlete as well, you know what I'm saying? when you went over to watch the women's sports, I guarantee you probably like a big fan of the women's sport. You saying I was the same way when I was in college playing. It's like you went to go watch their games. Like we used to go to the girls' games all the time because they used to really be hooping. And we'd be like, dang, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? So like coming from an athletic world, all of us, we understand that. Even Toby, when we were in high school running track, like we'd be out there like, yo, they about to kick, whatever it may be. We know what time it is, and I think that just comes from the respect aspect and like you said, like the companies and the businesses. I feel as though if you put more into their games, you'll get more out of it. And I'm talking about like investing more into the game. You feel me? Mm-hmm. I don't know why they're holding back when obviously like the game's getting bigger. Like soccer's for women is substantially bigger in the United States than it is for men.
Yep, easily.
Basketball is one of the top sports for women as well. And then my aspect, I'm gonna go down the road, even go down to another sport. Tennis, bro. I like watching women's tennis more than men's tennis.
Yeah.
That's just me personally.
Oh yeah.
Like that's just the way it is. But I don't know. And then go ahead.
I will just say that I think a lot of it is a societal thing because we can sympathize with it because we come from an athletic world. Like you said before, people that don't come from that world, they don't like, they're like, women's sports, fuck out of here. It's like a waste of their time. So that's where I think the real change needs to be. Put some respect on their name.
How'd y'all feel about Shaq and Candace Parker going at it the other day on TNT? Shaq was telling Candace that maybe they should, because they were talking about the NCAA thing too and all that stuff. And then he said, what if the WNBA, whatever, lowered the goals to 9 feet so women could dunk more the same way the men's do to make the women's game more exciting? And she got offended. She's like, nah, I guarantee my daughter, not my one that's now, but my daughter's coming up, she's gonna be drop step dunking by the time she gets to the league, like on the 10-foot rim. And Shaq was basically just saying like the game, you guys might get more fans if you guys are doing the same thing the guys are doing in the games. How'd you guys feel about that?
That sounds.
Go ahead, Tope.
That just sounds stupid to me. And the reason why I say that is because look at how the league is now. The league is not. The NBA. Let me not say the NBA is not fun because it's becoming a global. They're working on making it a global entity, but it sounds dumb to me because there's no way that you're going to tell me that you're going to make it entertaining now when the game is now 3-and-D. You know what I'm saying? Like you driving to the basket is becoming less and less of an option when you're playing basketball. The Rockets show that. Golden State shows that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, every team shows that now where you got to shoot from the outside. That's what everyone likes. But for me now to sit here and say, oh, women's sports needs to be more interesting by doing this, like, no, golf should be more interesting. Y'all should have trick shots. Maybe y'all should have flamethrowers flying up when Tiger Woods swings the ball. Like you're not going to sit here and say dumb shit like that and think that that's going to be the solution, because now you're not doing it because you're passionate about it. You're just doing it for theatrics. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to have theatrics in something when you're passionate about it, because you can either chase the money and you lose the passion, or you can keep the passion and just fund money into the passion. And I think that's what people really need to like look at. Like I think Shaq, in my opinion, he just becoming more and more out of tune with a lot of sports teams and a lot of different things. Like he's becoming very, very more media based, becoming more businessman like. So he's becoming very out of touch with a lot of athletes now, and he's getting on my nerves. I'm not gonna hold you.
I mean, she was clearly offended. That clip, as soon as I heard him start talking, I could see where he was going, and it made me kind of cringe a little bit, because it's like I see why Candace Parker was offended, because it's like you're challenging her like integrity as a hooper kind of, and their integrity as a hooper kind of way. Because let's not forget, Candace Parker won a dunk contest against men in the McDonald's All-American game. People don't even really be knowing that kind of stuff. She can dunk easily, you know what I mean? So I just think that it was like challenging the integrity of a lot of women hoopers, because it's like, give us just tune into our games and you'll see that we have skills, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like we don't need to be out here jumping out the gym for y'all to respect our game as hoopers. And I'll say that a lot of people think that a lot of dudes can get off on being in the league just because they're pure athletes with not much skill.
Nope. Most
women players are fundamentally sound all the way around the board. You know what I mean? So I think instead of saying something like that, just tune into the games and watch. Yeah. And Shaq should use his platform to be trying to help put these women on. You know what I'm saying? And say, tune into the games and watch some real hooping. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To end it, I'll say this. I won't have any more topics on it. I don't want to make it a little bit morbid, but this is why I'm even more upset about the fact that Kobe's gone, because you kind of saw where Kobe was trying to take the WNBA. You know what I mean? Taking the fact that his daughter was really, really good, taking that out aside, you kind of saw the fact that Kobe was trying to be passionate about a group of people that weren't really getting the acknowledgement that they were supposed to get. You know what I mean? And like him trying to fund that, even having his own women's basketball, like little league, things of that nature, it kind of showed me that it's like Kobe knew and Kobe saw what he could have done to help push basketball forward. You know what I mean? Because I said it before, like a couple weeks ago, like basketball is on its way to becoming the second biggest sport outside of soccer. You know what I mean? The way that FIFA runs soccer, even on both the men and women's team, it's kind of the same way that the NBA, I feel like eventually is going to try to push their model. Granted, corruption aside, but they're trying to push their model to become a global entity. And I felt that Kobe saw that, obviously, because, he grew up in Italy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he saw that coming and he was trying to be on the forefront of trying to push that to make that happen, for having both men and women have equal opportunities. Because it's just, when it comes to sports, like, there shouldn't be any type of biases. Like, there's just certain things that there just shouldn't be biases about. Like, men and women shouldn't have biases in sports, in music, in entertainment, because at the end of the day, when you're good at something, it brings people together and it makes them feel good. Sports makes people feel good. When Ronaldo scores a goal, it feels good. When you watch Alison Felix, who was pregnant and still trashed everybody, it made people feel crazy. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that going forward, I think that just sports in general should just look at it like that. And I think we should start at college sports, just looking at it from the NCAA, push that narrative of showing that there's no difference between the men's sports and the women's sports. Taking football out, because football is a different story. Basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, golf, even rowing, like there shouldn't be a disparity regardless of people watching or not, because y'all make enough money to fund both men and women's sports. That's all I got to say.
I agree with that.
Yeah, all in all, give the women their respect because they work just as hard as the men do.
Nah, definitely, 100%, 100%. I agree with that. Let's jump into the Face of the Future song of the day. It comes from an artist I honestly don't know where he's from. I was listening to some music. You know how like on your playlist it brings up like suggested artists or whatever. His name's Masadi. I think that's how you pronounce it. In the song Paralyzed, R&B record. I've been on R&B tear lately. It's just quality. I don't know if y'all listen to it when I put it in the chat, but Bull is talented, bro.
Super. He got under 3,000 followers too. Oh,
yeah,
damn.
that's what I'm trying to say. He fire, bro. He fire. And he has like 4 songs out maybe on this thing. I think nothing crazy, but I feel like he's one of them rappers. Remember when me and you were like talking about Giveon, when we found him like 2,000 followers a while back, and we he blew up, and like I feel like he's about to be one of those type of artists. So the Face of the Future song of the day comes from Masadi, and song's called Paralyzed. Once again, that was Masadi, Paralyzed. And the Face of the Future song of the day, I forgot to say, it's presented by MBT Face of the Future. Follow us on all social platforms, on Instagram, MBT_1%, and on Twitter, MBT the Future. And check us out our network on YouTube, MBT Faces of the Future, for all our video content. Let's jump into another topic that's been circulating, and it's been ongoing since free agency, since the season, pretty much. And that's Deshaun Watson in the Houston Texans. Shan, so what do you know about Deshaun Watson, Houston Texans? Kind of like the battle that they've been going on. What's been going on? Because I know you've probably been in tune a lot to like the battle, because this is kind of like the same thing that happened with Dak and Jerry Jones over in Dallas, and now it's just kind of shifted to another Texas team. But this is taking a whole different turn in the last week or two. So
Deshaun Watson, quarterback for the Houston Texans, has been trying to force his way out of Houston. I mean, you can kind of see the writing on the walls when Bill O'Brien traded DeAndre Hopkins. The things about Bill O'Brien came out in the locker room, but he wasn't really a player's coach. He wasn't player friendly. And then when the whole thing with Colin Kaepernick and the kneeling was going down, their owner came out and said something along the lines of, "You can't have the inmates running the asylum." Pretty much is what he was saying. And so Deshaun Watson and a lot of other players were turned off by that. This past year they went 4-12.
Yeah,
he requested Yeah, he requested a trade, wanted out. They saying that they won't trade him. They won't listen to any of his trade offers. They brought in a 65-year-old first-time head coach, which really isn't the wave for NFL right now. They brought in a GM from New England, but I mean, I just think that trust isn't there with him in the front office. And you guys know when that happens, it's time to move on for, I think, the betterment of both sides. Mm-hmm. But Houston seems to be playing hardball and saying that they're not going to trade him, even if they could get a boatload back for him. Mm-hmm. They don't want to trade him. They don't want to give him up. So earlier this week, there was one civil case that came out about sexual assault. Then one came the day after. Another one came the day after. And by this weekend, it was up to 12 women that filed civil cases against Deshaun Watson. So, of course, he came out and denied all of them. He said it's a publicity stunt for the plaintiff's lawyer. That's what he said. He said when the facts come out, keep the same energy. Yeah, that's what he said himself. So, I mean, how do you guys feel about what's been going on?
So I'm gonna start off by this. Like when I read a little bit more about what was going on, a lot of people were saying that the lawyer is like a real good friend of the owner of the team. Yeah, and then they said all the women have the same lawyer, which is the guy that's friends with the owner of the team. So like right there, that's like a little fishy. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, the time of everything per usual, like the moment that he's trying to get out of his contract, get out of what he's doing, and he's saying he's not going to play for Houston anymore, not put on the Texans jersey anymore, all this comes out. Granted, we always say this when we talk about sexual assault and stuff like that, that obviously every story needs to be heard and be brought to, if it's someone's accused of something, they need to bring it to trial, whatever it may be, and let the facts be told, and then let people decide when the facts are told. But on the surface level, everything, this timing and the way everything's going on is like, bro, what's really going on out there? What's really going on? Yeah. A lot of people have questions about what's really going on in Houston, Texas right now between Deshaun Watson and the owner of the Houston Texans.
Yeah, you definitely, like you just said, if he is guilty for what he did, and he should be prosecuted to the fullest extent. Obviously, 12 women sexually assaulting him, that's nothing to joke around about. Nothing. But it's definitely not a good look when it's more than one woman, and when it's 12, it's really, really not a good look. But when you start to peel back the layers and see that the lawyer is best friends with the owner, and all this is coming out now with him trying to get a trade, it is a bit sketchy. So a situation like this, like the same kind of with the Antonio Ross situation, you got to wait till more facts come out for us to make an assessment. But obviously, if it's true, we don't condone any of that shit.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, like obviously, when you see, like you said, when you see 12 women, it's hard to ignore that. It's hard to ignore that.
You can't ignore that.
You can't ignore if it's one, but like when you see 12 back to back day after, it's like you can't ignore that. But I still don't. It's just crazy. I mean, how this took a turn. Like it was a dispute over just contracts, and then just all right. You see people going to this extent, whatever it may be. Yeah. Toby, let me get your thoughts on it because I see your face, and I see you. I know you got something you want to spiel about what's going on.
Before I even get into my spiel, let's also include the fact that another reason why Deshaun Watson was trying to leave was because of the fact of like. He got paid, yeah, cool. But what he also wanted was a say in the organization to help him run an offense that he felt comfortable with. For people who don't know, Deshaun Watson went 4-12, doesn't have the best receiving core in the league, and still completed 70% of his passes. Right?
Yeah, he had a great.
But he not even a great like this nigga. I'm not even gonna get into that take right now, but what I'm trying to say is that Deshaun Watson's level of talent, leadership, and just integrity appeared to be impeccable. Mm-hmm. So now when you did all this for an organization, the last time that y'all was in the playoffs, y'all was up 24-0 against the Chiefs that ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. And since then, nothing has gone right. It looks suspect. So now going back to firing Bill O'Brien, they were trying to get Coach Bieniemy, I forgot his first name, right? Barry Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator.
Eric.
Oh, Eric, my bad. Eric, you're right. Eric Bieniemy, my bad. Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, because he wanted to be surrounded by a black coach, and he wanted to be surrounded, obviously, in an organization that had integrity. They hired a firm to see who would be the best option for them at quarterback or being a GM, president, all that stuff. Next thing you know, didn't follow any of that. And just like, screw it. So obviously Deshaun Watson was upset. Next thing you know, they hired the dude from the Ravens, and he's been in the league for 20, 40 years, hasn't gotten a head coaching job, obviously for a reason. David Culley, for a reason. And so the interesting thing that came about it was that Deshaun Watson is also about trust. I think it was either the GM or the president of operations at the Texans. He went to Clemson. D-Hop went to Clemson. Deshaun Watson went to Clemson. So he had this level of trust with everybody where it was like, okay, we all have the same roots, so we all understand that, we're on the same page. You know what I'm saying? So now, obviously, when they hired Nick Caserio, who used to play for the Patriots, it kind of looked like to him, it doesn't seem like the situation is going to get fixed. You just had someone who's from the Patriots here trade away D-Hop. You had someone here who didn't really connect with us. So obviously, that's not there. So, to fill in that information, it just looked like Deshaun Watson doesn't trust the organization, especially coming from the asylum comments coming from whatever his name's dad. I don't care about his name.
Bob McNair. Let me say real quick, those two guys from Clemson that you're talking about in the front office, the president fired both of them guys.
Yep.
Fired both of them.
And that creates a problem. It's like money aside. Yeah, there's no trust. So now looking at the coming to the situation now where Deshaun Watson's like, I'm not playing no more. Okay, cool. You're not playing. You can get the money that you want. But now going into the situation with this, right? To be honest with you, much respect to all the women involved and much respect to everybody that was involved. And hopefully, this isn't true. But if this comes out as not true, I really want Deshaun Watson to sue the Texans organization. I want him to sue every single woman that was there, not even from a standpoint of trying to get money, but for the fact that you all played a role into defaming somebody's name. In a league where black quarterbacks are supposed to just shut up and just play, they don't have a say, they're kind of looked at as like, okay, you're just here to be entertainment. You now had the Texans come in, use their friend, not even just their friend, their neighbor as a lawyer to now come and ask Deshaun Watson the day before these women came out for a 6-figure settlement. So that's how these women will shut up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, because he said no, now all of a sudden it's one day it's one woman. Then it's another woman. Then it's another woman.
So they're trying to pressure him in a sense.
Yeah, they're trying to pressure him. And for me looking at the situation, just one as a black man, it makes me feel a way because it's like a dude that has such integrity, a dude that shows so much leadership and just came to do his job. You're getting disrespected because an organization broke your trust, regardless of how much y'all paid me. You get what I'm saying? That's number one. Number two, in regards to, let's even take aside from the fact of everything else that has happened. This all looks fishy for all parties involved. This is a lose-lose situation for everybody. If it comes out that the Texans did lie about this, if I'm a black player, I'm not going to the Texans. I'm not getting traded. There's none of that, because it's like, what does that say as an organization where a player requests a trade and it comes out now that you're gonna try to defame my character in order for me to stay? For Deshaun Watson, even if it is true, which I highly, highly, really doubt that it is, if it comes out that it is true, the Texans sat on this information for how many years? For a year. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, you guys knew about this, and Deshaun Watson just played, and he didn't say anything since then. You know what I mean? And just even the women, it's like going into the concept of us, we go into these conversations all the time where we don't believe women, or where it's hard for people for sexual violence to come up and speak. If it comes out that this was a lie, y'all just contributed to the exact reason why most of these women don't get believed in the first place. So how does that look for victims of sexual assault, and even women who have actually been victims in the league of sexual assault, or even just domestic violence? You know what I'm saying? It's a bad look. And then the lawyer himself. If I'm the lawyer, if I find out that this is happening, the Bar Association needs to disbar this lawyer. He cannot practice anywhere again, because that's trash.
Yeah.
For me, I'm looking at this from every aspect of it don't make sense, especially even from the first allegation that I read, where it was just like, okay, he was naked and he had his towel over, obviously over his area. He got a full body massage, and then apparently some things happened. So now the story's switching up now where girls are saying, oh, he asked for oral sex, he asked for this, he asked for that. And now looking at me, I'm looking at the story, it's like, okay, he had his towel off, but he was still covering his private area. That kind of seemed like something normal to me. You got what I'm saying? Granted, none of that. But for the most part, it just doesn't make sense to me that like all of them came out with the same lawyer, like you said, Miles, and they all seem to now say the same exact thing. And that's where it gets fishy. And I think people that aren't really paying attention to the situation are just going to look at it as, oh, well, Deshaun Watson is a rapist. He's this, and this. And it just looks bad. And I think that next week when he comes to talk, I think that this is going to settle everything.
Let me ask you, and it's only a civil case, right? So that means it's all about money.
The police weren't even involved. The police were never contacted. The police on Twitter even said it. They've never been contacted. No reports at all were filed. None of that. So how does that look right now? You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna go down the line of like the things that you kind of listed off. When it comes to the Texas organization and like the things like you said, if they knew for however many years and just allowed him to keep playing, whatever it may be, should the NFL hold the owner accountable for what he did? The same way with the Joe Pa situation down in Penn State when they did that whole thing and he knew about it and nobody did anything about it and allowed everything to go on. Do you guys think that the NFL should hold that organization the same way, whether it's not dismembering the franchise, but making the owner step down, the same way the Clippers owner had to give up when happened with the racial slurs over in LA? What do you guys think should be happening with that? That's my first question. Then I'll go
1,000%. They should be held accountable, point blank, period. If they covered it up
in both ways, whether it was true or whether you find out that they're lying and whether you find out whatever connection there is, they need to. If they find out that in this some way, shape, or form, this is a way for the Texans organization to get leverage, they need to sell the team. If they find out that all this stuff was true, they need to sell the team. Like either way, the reaction is that the Texans owner should sell the team, because how I'm looking at it is that the league has already faced a lot of backlash from just violence. CZ, you just had the Aaron Hernandez documentary come out, I think either last year or the year before, and they had to go through that. You had the Ray Rice situation. You had the Greg Hardy situation. You had the dude from the Seahawks, Mr. Mullet Boy. You had that situation happen. You get what I'm saying? You had all these situations happen consistently. Now you have an organization that's complicit in this, and the only thing that you guys will probably say is, oh, you'll lose a draft pick. No, you got to sell the team, bro. You have to. Like, it's not even from a standpoint of me just trying to, like, say this because I love Deshaun Watson. But I'm just saying this from a standpoint of just a morality aspect and from an aspect of just using common sense and the face of your league. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I agree.
I agree with that. And then my next thing to your next point that you made when it comes to using the sexual assault of victims as pawns, like I feel like they're being used as pawns rather than actually trying to help them. You know what I'm saying? So you guys brought up the case of making it harder for the rest of the people that go through stuff like this to come up. How do you guys feel about a lawyer? It's probably a money grab for him because obviously the Texans owners probably paying him to do all this, whatever, represent them and everything like that. How do you feel about like women being used as pawns in a situation that's as serious as this, like on the grand scheme of things outside of this specific case?
The lawyer is a clown. And I don't know how, like, as a person with morals, you can sit there and sign off or co-sign something like this. You know what I mean? And even for the women, if they are lying, shame on them too, because you can't just, especially now in today's age, just throw out sexual assault accusations against guys. Like Toby said, you're defamating his character. You're ruining his character. That could ruin someone's career. That could ruin someone's life forever. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's something that you should ever play with. And this kind of stuff is frustrating to me because, like Toby said, when things like this happen, it makes it harder for the women that actually have to go through shit like this for being believed. You know what I'm saying? It makes it so much harder for them to be believed, and it makes it make sense why women don't come forward when they get sexually assaulted because of shit like this. You know what I mean?
And finish what you were saying, Shannon.
No, I'm done.
I will say to add insult to injury, like even look at the men whose lives get ruined. Like I remember, like I think like a year or two ago, Justin Bieber had something similar happen where it was like some girl was like, "Oh yeah, Justin Bieber sexually assaulted me." You know what I'm saying? And it was like you did that. Not only did Justin Bieber address the situation and addressed it, he sued the girl because it's like you can't play with shit like that. Like as a guy, and just this is a guy, like your life is ruined in any way, shape, or form. Like just even the smallest of things like that ruin your life with women. Like, I don't want to go down into that topic, but like you have to understand that like as a woman, this is why like girls always get looked at a certain way when it's like, okay, are you sure this happened? And as guys, we always want to believe women. You know what I'm saying? And this is why, like, when situations happen, people always want to look at things objectively. Because now, like I said, let's even say that this wasn't true and they ride this out just for a year. All 12 of them ride it out for a year. What do you think is going to happen? Deshaun Watson's not going to be able to play again. He may just get suspended for a whole year. So now he's out 2 years of his prime. You know what I'm saying? He loses his endorsements. He loses all these different things. He loses his character. And then miraculously, a year later, all these women say, "Oh yeah, it wasn't true." How does that look?
Let's say it is though. Let's say it is true. Let's say Deshaun Watson, everything that they're putting against him is in fact true, based on like the character that he's seen to the public right now. How would that make you feel as a fan of him, and you know the things that he's done, like on the field, even off the field, and what he's trying to get done? How would that make you feel if stuff like this is, if it is true? Because we have to think of that. We have to think of that aspect as well. Like, you feel me?
If it's true, NFL cannot let him back into the league. If you're someone that sexually assaulted 12 women, you can't be allowed to be on a platform where there's millions and millions of kids that are watching you. There's millions of women that are watching you. There's people that are paying to see you play. You can't have that in your entity as a league if this all comes out to be true. And it would be very sad because we've known Deshaun Watson to be a good guy from his Clemson days. You know, a team player, a good leader, does everything by the book, doesn't get in trouble. He's never got in trouble for anything. You know, he's done his career on the straight and narrow. So if it all comes out to be true, then, like I said, he should be prosecuted to the full extent, and he shouldn't be allowed to play in the league again. Period.
That's I have those same sentiments. Like I think that he shouldn't be able to play again. Yeah, that's really all I have on that. Granted, like it sounds weird, but it's like I would love to hear in this situation. I would love to hear from girls from Clemson that have had relations with Deshaun Watson. Like it sounds dumb, but it's like the thing is about quarterbacks. Quarterbacks have to be insanely mature because they're ending up always being the number one or number two face of the franchise, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's like, as a lot of analysts always say, like you can tell how somebody is from how they are in college. I would love to hear any girl that, you know, messed with Deshaun Watson, dated Deshaun Watson during Clemson, just because, not to say that, you know, people can't change, but if you bring somebody from your college days when, you know, you were immature, you know, you're still working on your identity as an individual, if you hear the stories from there and, you know, there could be consistency with what the women are saying, then you can believe it. But imagine us now just all of a sudden hearing this in the middle of trade conversations for Deshaun Watson, and we've heard nothing from women in Clemson. There hasn't been a story about no women in Clemson, and, you know, he took advantage of, God forbid, none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a way, there's like, it just sounds crazy to me, but it's like, if you're going to try to defame somebody, there's a certain way that you do it where you make it look believable. And it's not to say that these women aren't believable, but it's like, this all just happened from March 20th, 2020 till now. You get what I'm saying? And yeah, it looks suspect. It looks very suspect. And that's why I said everybody looks fishy in this situation. Finds out Texans are lying. The Texans, all of them got to sell the team.
And those same thoughts, like I feel as though, like, either way it goes, I feel as though the Texans are using foul play for sure. like just in general as an organization, and it's kind of like being shown how they operate as an organization in general. Like you're willing to like I said, if this is true, like with Deshaun Watson, you're willing to just hold on to evidence that detrimentally affects human beings in general, to just hold it as, like I said, like a pawn to use when you want to use it, as opposed to doing the right thing. And all right, our starting quarterback's doing this. All right, we need to put an end to this because it's gonna mess up the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you wait till he wants to get out of your organization to use this against them, which is crazy to me. Like I said, I just don't like the fact that they're using women as pawns, bro. And it doesn't sit right with me in general. I just don't like it, bro. I just don't like it.
Me either.
And I hope to God, like, that this isn't true, like it isn't true, because I'm a fan of Deshaun Watson on the field, but at the end of the day, we've seen crazier things happen when it comes to things like this. We've seen way crazier things happen, and I just don't understand why, like I said, if it's 12 women that came out, obviously, that means that other people around them had to know what was going on. If it's true, and that goes to my next and most like final thought about this is like, how can people that are around somebody that does something like this, if it's true, allegedly do something like this, like allow things to happen and not speak up on it?
You have no morals, and he might be paying your bills.
That's what happened. That's what happened with R. Kelly. R. Kelly, all them was getting their asses paid. R. Kelly arguably was the biggest R&B artist ever in like 2-3 generations. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you look at it, he paying your bills. You know, you gonna lose your way of living if, you know, he comes out, something goes wrong. So you probably get that hush money, or he probably paid you a little bit extra under the table. And
you gonna take that check and shut your mouth.
You gonna take it. Just shut up. Just to shut up. Sad. You know, and that's just what it is. And it's like, there's a guy, you always want to have your morals in check. Like, because now look at it. Let's even say, for example, tour manager. Tour manager can't go nowhere. Manager can't be a manager nowhere because they all knew. And that ruins your integrity as a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the last thing a man really, really needs, even outside of respect, is his integrity. Your integrity is too farther than respect will ever, you know? So it's just interesting to me that this whole thing has been happening. Sexual assault has always been a big thing just in sports, and domestic violence has been a big thing in sports, especially in the NFL. And I think that, like, this is why, like, I feel so angry about it, that, like, the way that it happened. And, you know, next week when he said that he'll respond, if I'm telling you, if
we don't talk about
if this stuff really turns out to be a lie, bro, the NFL does not move the way that they need, not even should, the way that they need to move on this, bro, do not expect me next week to come in here with a light face, bro. I don't even, nah. I don't even want to think about that.
I feel it. In other news though, Kanye was quoted as being the richest black man in American history. How you feel about that? How you feel about it? You a disciple. What you mean? What you putting your hands up for? You a Kanye disciple, Toby. You a Kanye disciple.
I'm not a Kanye disciple. I don't know what
you are a Kanye disciple. Now Will said that, bro. You are, bro. You the same person who was washing Drake in a 30 for 30.
But he is watching Drake in a verses. He's watching Drake in the verses, but it's like business thing aside, is like, it's nothing that I didn't expect. Like, I don't know what y'all want me to say.
What I'm saying though is what I'm saying is, though, not necessarily how I want you to say anything, but just based on like the stuff that's happened over the last year. You know what I'm saying? The last few years when Kanye was in debt, people were saying he's done for this and that, and then he even came out and said when he was in that predicament, oh, I'm gonna be making billions, whatever, in the next few years, and people were like, oh, you're crazy this, you're crazy that, whatever it may be. How do you feel about somebody overcoming adversity in the public eye? That's what I mean.
I'm extremely proud of Kanye. For all of his antics that he does. I may not agree with him all the time because he be saying some outlandish shit, like when he was doing the presidential shit. But as far as being business savvy and just being a creative individual, I think he's one of the best to ever do it. And I think that he's a great inspiration for kids that are often like Kanye, who are a little bit more into the yards that say, you know, their brains are wired different. And a lot of people don't understand people like that. And I think Kanye is a great role model for them to look up to, as to be true to yourself. Because if Kanye is going to be one thing, he's going to be true to himself and he's going to be honest. And I think that's very admirable. And I think that
he said he was going to be honest. He's going to be true to himself. Kanye disciple.
Yeah. And I really just think that it's amazing to see a black man making that much money. And my only thing is this, and I was talking to my fiance about this actually before you came on.
Okay, shout out fiance.
I was saying that because we all know that Kanye's had some mental health issues in the past, I just hope that he has the right people around him and within himself to just not harm himself in any way, because I think that would be a unthinkable shot to the culture of hip hop, of art, of music, of everything. So my main hope for Kanye is that he just stays, you know, mentally stable within himself. But I'm very, very proud of him and very happy for him. Good for him. That's a lot of hard work.
I'm happy for him too. It's the big flex. He finalized his divorce with Kim. He separated himself from Kim and became the richest black man in America. Come on now. And he said, "Yo, you want to contact me? You got to talk to me through my security. Come on now, big flex.
You got the Birdman rub.
That's what I'm saying, yo. I was happy as hell when I heard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was happy. I'm like, of course, I'm happy for Kanye. It's like you said, Shan. I just want Kanye to be around the right people this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think that part of a lot of his mental health issues stemmed from the fact that he wasn't around the right counsel. Like, I'll say this all the time: the Kardashian family, they have some type of curse, or there's something going on over there in that family where everybody that goes in some way, shape, or form gets damaged when they come out.
Yeah,
and witches. Black man.
She said they're witches, bro. They're
witches. Have to be, bro.
They're casting spells over there.
Yeah, they're casting spells, bro. And the mom is the gatekeeper.
No, it has to be. Like, every single man that is in there has not come out healthy, and that's scary. That's scary. That's a scary thing to think about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sitting here looking at Travis Scott, like, I'm scared for his life.
Remember what LeBron told Tristan Thompson? You can't bring them Kardashians around us, bro.
Facts.
Can't bring them around us, bro.
Facts.
And that's just what it is. It's just like, I just pray that, you know, they all, like, I just hope that Kanye for himself, like, I think he's gonna get better. I think that he's gonna get right back into the music. Side of Prince, I'm glad he's alive too. He was saying that, like, Kanye has just been focused straight on the music. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, Yeezy's been a big brand. You know, I think that after Yeezy, I think when the Yeezy contract is up, it's just gonna become a separate brand.
Yeah. It's a 10-year contract with Gap, huh?
Yeah, no, it's a 10-year contract with Adidas, and I think it's another with Gap. I don't know when that is, but, like, I think Kanye is delivering what he wanted for the people. You know what I mean? Yeah. He had access to everything that he wanted.
So said that? I think Dame Dash was another person that said it, because there was obviously a couple of videos like viral from Dame Dash when he went out to Wyoming with Kanye and stuff like that. He said Kanye's like on a people just don't. He's like, yeah, people just don't understand Kanye. He's a creative person. Like, when he wants something done, he needs it right then and there. Because, you know what I'm saying, you're not creative people's mind work, they'll lose it or whatever it may be. So that's why he don't stop so hard for something like in that moment in time. Like, and the funniest thing, I think we might have brought this up before, when he was snapping on Chance. He said, "That's why your album flop. You don't ever want to listen to nobody. That's gonna have me hollering." But
who was I talking to about this? I forgot who I was talking to about this, but it's like that's why I was upset about Chance, where it's like, you can't. Chance is trying to switch gears a little bit. Chance is trying too hard to be Kanye on a smaller scale. And it's like, my thing is that for him, he got big-headed too quick. And that's exactly why he got put in the position that he's in. You know what I'm saying? It's like, your manager put you on, did everything he needed to do for you, the way that you were running things. And then what do? You now go and run your own album while you were getting married and thought you was going to come out with bangers. Bro, that shit was I don't want to hear what nobody says. That whole album was garbage. I
can tell you one song from that, Jones. Keep it a buck with you.
Nah, I can't. And it's just like, and that's what exactly. The whole thing was trash. And so my thing is, now, at that point, you put out a trash album. Then you tried to go on a stadium tour. And then next thing you know, you're going to be like, yeah, no, this is my lawyer, this is my manager's fault. How? You got you an Apple Music deal. For 15 million.
That's what I'm trying to say. And then on top of that, last thing about Kanye, and then I'm gonna wrap it up, is how you feel about him getting the Grammy after throwing his Grammy in the toilet. You know what I'm saying? All them antics that happened like 5 months ago, 6 months ago.
You don't care. Like,
I'm saying though, like that just makes me even more happy, bro. That showed that the art won. You feel me? Like whatever he's doing,
above it. I'm above that.
I'm above like that. This holds no value to me. I'm gonna get one regardless. At the end of the day, that's how I felt about
it. For me, like the only thing I feel about it is that like it just plays into what I've personally felt about the Grammys. Is just like it's weird. It's like they try to push an agenda, and they play and they try to be political, and they want to push an agenda. It's like it doesn't make sense to me. Well, obviously it does make sense, but obviously he won because that was a Rock Nation award show night. Let's keep it a buck. Everybody who's managed, associated with Rock Nation won a Grammy. Ain't no way. There's no way that Meg should have won every single category she was in. I don't believe that she should have. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. Any girl can come argue. I don't care. Meg, she was a big personality, but music-wise, outside of Savage, everything was trash. Don't care what nobody has to say. And so my thing is that, like, I get where Kanye was about, because it's like Kanye knows that they play politics. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's the same thing. It's about politics. Everything is about politics. Yeah. And for me, Kanye is the type of person where it's like he doesn't like to play the politics, doesn't like to play the rules. Even with politics, he wasn't trying to play to everybody's rules. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like that's the person that he is. He doesn't like to subscribe to conventional norms, because in most cases it traps you in a place where, you know, you don't really get to be who you want to be. And I think that's the message for everybody about where he's at now. Is just like Kanye was who he was for about most of his life, and he's a billionaire. And I think that goes to show to everybody where it's just like, when you are who you are, you stay true to who you are, you believe in yourself, you know, you have a healthy confidence and a little bit of unhealthy confidence about yourself. You put yourself in those positions, you'll get to where you need to be. And I think that's the number one message that we have to look at from Kanye being the richest man in America, black man in America. I say America because, you know, they got Africans richer than Kanye, but we're not going to do that. But the point is that, like, the point is that be who you are and stay true to yourself. You gonna get to where you need to be.
Yeah, the Grammys, like you said, are political. I've been done with the Grammys since Macklemore won Best Rap Album over Kendrick Lamar. So
I never seen a bullshit like that in my life. And Nicki Minaj needs her fucking flowers.
What you just said?
Use my language, but she needs her flowers ASAP. Okay. I said Nicki Minaj needs her flowers. She needs her flowers.
Got you. That's a fact. But that's all I got for today, guys. I don't know if y'all got anything else you want to chop it up about. But
no, I'm good. Shout out to my fiance Kaylee, baby. I love you.
Shout out to the new fiance. Shout out to the wedding that's gonna happen sooner or later. You know what I'm saying? Just know I'm gonna be in that joint.
Yeah. For sure.
Toast to the fiancés. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm happy for you, bro.
Yes, bro.
I'm so glad you back. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? You back on our side. You feel me? Until next time, until the next episode 56 of the Face of the Future podcast. It's your boy Mills.
It's your boy Shan.
And some Moose. You know the vibes.